Joining us to discuss the presidential election in the Gambia is Paul Jammeh, an African affairs analyst. Hello, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Gambians are going to the polls for the first time in 27 years in an election that does not have exiled former strongman, that's Yahya Jammeh's name, on the ballot box. What is the mood like among voters, and how enthusiastic are they in choosing a new leader?
So there is some enthusiasm among Gambians, a country of 2.5 million, and with less than 1 million registered voters. So because Jammeh is not there, who had held sway for 22 years until 2017, like you said, when he was forced into exile for refusing to accept defeat in the December 2016 election. That is the first time that he will not be on the ballot box. That's true. But politics is also politics everywhere in Africa. An election usually conjures or brings about some level of intensity and political horse trading. There are two horses, you will say, Barrow himself and then Ouseno Dabo, who was actually the candidate that Jammeh jailed before Barrow came up and became what some many call accidental president or accidental candidate. But the thing about power is that it corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. When Barrow took over, the party that he put him up, UDP, had mentioned that there was an agreement that he will serve for just 3 years and leave the scene for those who actually were victims of Yahya Jammeh's brutality and atrocities. But along the line, he now says he is continuing. So there has been some political crisis there. There was recent talk about, accord between that party and then Yahya Jammeh's party. Yahya Jammeh came out to denounce it and saying that his supporters will support somebody, one candidate in the election, one of the six. So what will happen is that perhaps opposition will end up dividing their own votes, and Barrow, using the leverage of incumbency, could win, and particularly because it is just first past the post. There is no second round election, so whoever gets the majority vote in this first round will win. So that is what is there, but that will not end the crisis in the Gambia. As we speak, ECOWAS has a military mission there, making sure that there is no security breach. If you remember that Barrow was installed president in Kenya, in Senegal, Dakar, because of the insecurity in the country. But Jammeh still has his influence, even from Equatorial Guinea, where he's an exile. So, now, Paul, and then yes, go ahead.
Now, Paul, sorry to cut you. Let's quickly, you've talked about Gambia's democracy, as it were, but then with this election now, looking at it, do you think it would serve as a litmus test to the Gambia's democratic institution and the ability of IEC to actually conduct general elections?
Well, I think IEC had done its best. Remember that, but for the IEC, the chairman, for instance, that stood his ground when Jammeh was threatening, he stood his ground to say, well, that commission said, no, we have conducted an election and Jammeh, you lost. And so in spite of the threat, they stood firm and then made sure that it was that the result that they declared, which was carried, which was supported by the international community. But that is, election is by themselves do not equate to good governance. They do not equate to stability. Gambia is still, remember that when Jammeh was removed, a commission similar to what was set up in South Africa was set up. Truth, Reconciliation, and commission was set up. There were victims. People died. People got missing under Jammeh's rule. And this government of Barrow just they are wasting time in working on that report. And then again, the Constitution that was amended to take care of those things that those inequalities and undemocratic factors and principles that were embedded in that Constitution. That is the same Constitution they are still using. They had gone to draft a new Constitution, but Barrow's government, for one reason or the other, the Parliament decided to kill it. After they have used money that Constitution had actually talked about second ballot, second round, so that you don't get about 20% or 30% in an election and then you win. That does not show democracy. To be able to, those who have the principle of second round means that at least a candidate must have up to 50% of the votes of the electorate before they can be said to be legitimate leaders. This Constitution does not, which Jammeh used. There's nothing new. So you will say, well, what has changed since 2017 that Jammeh left? So it's not about election. It's about institution. It's about reforms. It's about people's welfare and interests. It's about governance.
Well, the Gambia is home to more than 2 million people, about half of whom live on, according to reports, $1.90 per day. Now, whether or not Barrow actually wins, do you think this exercise of franchise will actually improve their standard of living? And looking at the fact that there are so many issues the country and the citizens are battling with, there's political tension. But do you think all this can change whether or not Barrow or any other person wins?
Well, whoever comes in will have their job cut out for them. Remember that the Gambia is just a country encircled by Senegal. So its economy is dependent on tourism, and that has taken a very big hit from the COVID-19 pandemic. So there is economic downturn and all that. So added to that is the political crisis that we're talking about, that the country is politically divided. And Barrow has reneged on the gentleman's accord that he agreed to, and that the point that the opposition are not also united. They have 5 of them. 5 of them will end up dividing their votes, and the atrocities that were committed under Jammeh, that was it's been sent to exile in Equatorial Guinea. Those victims are still there. More than 2,500 people were reportedly killed. There was a commission that was set up. That commission had, chilling reports of atrocities that were committed under Jammeh. And those people who committed those atrocities are still there in the Gambia. Their victims are still there, those who are alive, those who have died. Who is going? Where is the justice? Where is the consequence for impunity or for human rights violation? All the politicians know is how to rush into having election and winning. But what happens after that? What is the impact? What is the, how does that affect the common Gambian who cannot, you mentioned how many of them that can barely eat on $2 a day. And then there is poverty, there is unemployment, and there is a crime. Rate is high because youths are not engaged. So those are the things but politicians are not about governance. All they are interested in is assuming power, staying in power, and then cronyism, taking care of themselves and their families or their friends at the expense of the greater majority. It's not just in the Gambia, it's across Africa. And that is the reason there is no development. There can be no development without justice, without peace. and without respect for human rights. Those are the issues that elections cannot solve. It is after the election, what do you do to address those institutions that will stand, deliver on what they call the dividends of democracy, not elections.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. That's the much we can accommodate of you on the news. Thank you so much for joining us. You are watching News Central Television.